the fact that we're recording in progress. No, I think it's wonderful to have this global celebration where the world is recognizing the achievements of women and girls in all walks of life in every corner of the world. And I want to celebrate the progress that we've made and recommit ourselves to the work that we have to continue to deliver so that girls and women have full equity and dignity and opportunity no matter where they live or where they are. And as our Girl Scout volunteers, I want to celebrate all of the work that you do because you are the true champions for girls and all of their ambitions. So thank you so much, and celebrate yourselves, celebrate each other, and just celebrate International Women's Day. So I wanted to recognize that with all of you. Also, I want to make sure everyone's aware that we have rolled out new COVID guidelines to help with our troops. Those have gone out in some newsletters, but just to make sure you're all aware, we're following the CDC recommendations. So if you're living in a county that's classified as low or medium for COVID-19 levels, masks are no longer required to be worn. So you can check that on the CDC website. It is updated fairly frequently, and I'm sure you're going to know in your communities as well. But if you're in a community with a high level of COVID-19, the masks are required to be worn if you're going to be indoors and you can't maintain social distancing of more than 3 feet. So as always, if your city or your county or your state has stricter guidelines, follow the stricter guidelines. It is no excuse to the law if you say, well, the Girl Scouts told me I could do this. Unfortunately, we can't change a state legal requirement. So just make sure you're following along with those guidelines, but we have modified ours to follow the CDC. Now, these particular guidelines are not currently the guidelines we're going to be following for summer camp because there is totally different legislation which covers our camps. So we're continuing to monitor what is happening in that legislation, and we will be keeping our website and families who are registered for the summer updated with what we're doing for that guidelines as it becomes available as we get closer to camp season. Okay, any questions on that? Well, then thank you so much for following our guidelines and keeping everyone safe and healthy as we've continued to work with this pandemic. It's been very difficult, I know. And then I know we're going to have some time on this agenda to talk about the product program and the cookie challenges that we have faced this year. And since we're still in the middle of cookie season, I want you to understand that we recognize the pain that you are under, the added stress. Cookie season is the most stressful time in a volunteer Girl Scout's life, and we recognize this year is particularly stressful since we just don't have product to deliver. But we'll go over that in more detail, be able to answer more questions when we get to that part of the agenda. I want you to be aware that it is constantly in our minds and constantly being dealt with or communicated with. Crystal spoke to the CEO of Little Brownie Bakers even to express our great concerns directly to Jill. And we'll make cookies available as soon as we have them. And I know that Tara Pact is not on this call currently. She'll be joining us late because she actually drove to Arlington, Vermont in order to pick up cookies to bring them back to Camp Farnsworth to help distribute them where they are needed. And so it's wonderful to have our board chair volunteering her time to drive cookies about the countryside so that our volunteers can get them where they're needed. So with that, Amanda, I'll turn it over to you, and then I'll be back and around for questions for this whole call, and we'll see what we can address.
Awesome. Thank you, Tricia. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to get started tonight with some membership numbers. Let me go ahead and get that up today. And I'm hoping that everyone can now see my screen okay. Awesome. So let's go ahead and move through. Of course, here is your membership team. These are going to be your recruiters. We've got Tammy, Heidi, and Mallory that most of you have spoke to. And of course, my name is Amanda LeClaire, and I'm the Director of Membership. I am here if you guys ever have any questions related to membership. We're happy to help you out. So let's go into membership numbers. I'm really excited about these membership numbers. These are as of yesterday, March 7th, which is exactly 1 month from the membership numbers that I showed you last month. And they are wonderful because we've went over almost to 5% increase from last year's overall numbers, which is a great gain. That is, in the last month alone, that's a gain of 262 members total, 186 of those being girls and 76 of them being adults. That's putting us at some great retention rates overall that we are very happy with, and we're continuing to add new girls every single day. We are super excited about the progress we have made after these challenging past couple of years. One of the things I want to talk about is our Daisy launch. This is our springtime incentive. This is one of the big things we do in the spring. This is bringing in those young ladies who aren't Girl Scouts yet, or may not have the opportunity to be Girl Scouts yet because they're not old enough. And come April 1st, they will be able to join us. So this is something we do. We go out and reach out to daycares, Head Start programs, and go through our local school districts for their kindergarten registration days. We go through the town recreation centers. We offer an online Daisy booklet that the girls can do and then register for a patch that I will send them. We also offer our Make New Friends series. You've probably heard about this last month and seen this put out in a couple of the publications. This Make New Friends series is directed at those pre-K girls that are getting ready to start kindergarten in the fall. This is to help those young ladies get ready for kindergarten, to get introduced to some of those different classroom techniques that they're going to have to deal with that might be new to them. They're going to get to make some new friends, get a little used to some different things that have been kind of different the past couple of years, get used to the classroom environment. Plus, they're going to get an introduction to Girl Scouts. They're going to get 4 weeks, approximately 45 minutes to an hour each week with us to meet some new friends and do these wonderful things. Part of this, of course, what we've been offering is that ambassador troop incentive. We've had a couple ambassador troops reach out to us already. That incentive, if you haven't heard, is if your troop is an ambassador troop and would like to earn a little extra money for their end of year trip, or however they would like to spend it as a troop, they can mentor a brand new Daisy troop through one of these Make New Friends programs. 4 meetings, 45 minutes to an hour each meeting, and we give you all the materials to do it, and we come to the last one to help you finish it up. That is the membership updates that we have today. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Amanda Powell with volunteer support.
Thanks, Amanda. I'm Amanda Powell. I'm the team lead for volunteer support. I'm going to talk a little bit about spring renewal. Amanda, if you could go to the next slide, please. So as you can see, Amanda is the director of membership. I'm the team lead. We also have Michelle Moulton, a volunteer support specialist for new leader support, Anne-Marie Orio, who does new leader support, Dee Dee Rice, who does some volunteer support, as well as banking and works with Juliet's, and Carrie Zames, who helps with new leaders and existing leaders. Next slide, please. So our early renewal period starts on April 1st, which is right around the corner. We just wanted to talk a little bit about some things to keep an eye on as we move forward. This is a great time of year to get Girl Scouts involved, get them look forward to the next year and all of its opportunities, have some exciting points to share about our incentives for early renewal this year. So in April, girls that renew in the month of April will get $15 off their membership fee, and adults that renew in April will get $5 off their membership fee. Very exciting. Girls that renew in May will get $10 off of their membership fee. And girls that renew in June will get a free ticket to the Girl Expo, which we're really excited to have in person again this year in October. So exciting. When you're gonna be renewing, if you see in this picture here, I have that lovely yellow arrow pointed right to my GS. So to renew, you're gonna wanna go right onto our website, girlscoutsgwm.org. Click my GS, log yourself in, and that will take you to your account and you can renew right from there. If you're going to be renewing your troop, you can also renew your whole troop right from there as well using your troop card. That way, if you had talked to your troop about using troop funds for renewal, you can do that. Parents can reimburse you. You can kind of figure out how you would like to work that out. And yes, I just saw Carrie's pop up. If girls earned program credits during the cookie season, they can use that towards their membership, which is super helpful as well. Next slide, please. And you may be asking yourself, why should I renew my troop early? Which is a great question. Like we just said, that lets girls use their program credits to pay for their membership. That can be a huge bonus. They've just worked really hard all cookie season and done a great job selling cookies. And one of the things that they can be really proud of is that because they did that, they then get a free membership for the next year, which is fantastic. They'll have access to all those great membership fee discounts we just talked about. It really helps to keep the Girl Scout excitement going for the new Girl Scout year, knowing as they head into the summer, if your troop takes a break or if you slow down a little over the summer, they'll know their membership is already there and waiting for them when they start the new school year. And it ensures that all the returning girls will have space in their troops. So would troops open up for new girls to register when the early renewal period ends? So after early renewal, that ends July 1st. At that point, it will open up for new members to join troops. So if girls have not renewed at that point, the new girls will have an opportunity to join the troops. We do not have a wait list and we don't hold spots. So troops will be expected to welcome new girls if they join before the returning girl is in their troop register. Next slide. That may be my last one, and I'm not sure. Let's see. I knew there was one more. And how you can prepare your troop for early renewal. We just talked on another slide about getting into your MyGS account. So if you go right into that tab, you can keep an eye on everyone's membership status. So you can make sure all the girls are renewed, that you're renewed, that your co-leaders and helpers are renewed. And that lets you give the troop reminders. You can check in with them and say, hey, I saw Susie hasn't renewed yet. Is she going to return next year? Do you need a hand renewing? I can take care of that for you right from my account, just to make sure all on the same page. That's also going to let you make sure that your meeting details are correct under the MyGS tab, and you can update that if needed. So for example, if you've changed your meeting location at some point in the last year and you haven't shared that with the council yet, if you go in and click edit under your My Troop tab once you're logged in, you can update that information right there to share that with us so we can make sure that's listed correctly. And then you can ensure that your troop size meets minimum expectations for troop. For example, a troop with Daisy is open to a minimum of 12 girls. If you have any questions about troop sizes or making sure your catalog listing is correct, anything about renewal, feel free to reach out to the volunteer support team. You can shoot an email over to customer care and they'll pass it along to us so we can get back to you. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I have 4 girls that want to join now. They're new members. Is that still okay? Do they have to pay 40 now and 40 again in September?
If they join now, yes.
Okay, I'll tell them. I wasn't sure how they were going to do that this year. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
They would have access to the extended membership starting on April 1st. So that would be an option as well if they wanted to wait until the beginning of April. That's a reduced cost for this membership year, and then it includes next year.
That's what I was aiming for. Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda. So now we're going to go on to our next speaker for the evening, which is going to be Programs and Property, which I believe is going to be Karen Martin.
Hey there, everyone. So if you want to change the slide, we're doing a couple of things this month. This is our team, and you can see we all are active in the outdoors, even in the wintertime. So I'm Karen L. Martin. I'm the Director of Program and Properties. And I just realized earlier today that this week marks my 20th year as a full-time Girl Scout employee. So I'm pretty excited about that, and that it happens during Girl Scout week. So always lots of adventures in Girl Scouting. So if you change the slide, I'm going to talk a little bit about spring, even though it's winter. And the pictures on each slide come from our recent Winter Fest and Winter Palooza programs. So you can enjoy the photos of winter while you're talking about spring training. So this is the time of year we hear a lot about outdoor trainings and how they happen and when they happen. So I wanted to give you all sort of an overview of what the trainings are and how they work. So the first level of training is Outdoor Adventure Workshop. It's an online training that's absolutely free. You can take it anytime, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. But with Outdoor Adventure Workshop, volunteers can lead a simple fire program. They can cook a one-pot meal or cook using sticks over fire. And you can have a one-night overnight in lodges, Adirondacks, or cabins, especially on our properties. The bowls class, which is probably the most popular of the outdoor classes, is offered a whole bunch of different ways, and we'll talk about that. But the bowls class really lets you cook with more complicated outdoor cooking. It lets you camp for multiple nights in developed campgrounds, or you can camp in tents. You can use stoves. It has a lot more to do with orienteering, whittling, fire building, those sorts of things. So it really is the sort of the training that you need to do almost anything in outdoors, but Outdoor Adventure Workshop definitely gets you started. And then Advanced Outdoor Living Skills is a class that we offer once a year. We offer it, and it covers backpacking, backcountry trips, all those winter camping events, and then canoeing and boating trips, sort of camping. And it covers all the things like backpacking stoves, how to plan for being away from EMS services, advanced navigation, all of those sorts of things. So if we can change the slide, we'll look at these a little bit more in depth. There we go. So the bowls classes that are coming up, I want to make sure, because these are always really popular, and then we always seem to have a group of folks who sort of miss them. So they're most often offered in the spring. So these are the ones that are coming up. And again, it lets you do orienteering, whittling, fire building, all of those things that you need for multiple nights of camping with your Girl Scouts. And it's offered a variety of ways, both by our volunteer trainers who have been doing this class forever, and our Girl Scout staff trainers who learned how to do this from the volunteer trainers and then sort of adapted it to meet all the needs of our volunteers. So the upcoming classes, there's a blended bowls class, one on Saturday, April 23rd in Portsmouth, and the next day, Sunday, April 24th in Thetford. Oh, it says New Hampshire. Yeah, there's always a mistake in my slides. Someone should proofread these for me. And the blended class, you do ahead of time online work that lets you go through the process of how you would plan your camp out, what sort of skills you would need, all of those things. And then we come together for a day to do qualification skills training. So we'll build fires, we'll cook food, we'll do all of those sorts of things all together in that sort of skills qualification experience. And this is best for those people who are already really comfortable with outdoor skills, or who are sort of ready to take bowls and move to the next level. The next bowls class is an in-person, and it's volunteer led, and it's Saturday through Sunday, May 7th and 8th, and it's in Bedford. So this class works where the volunteers lead the class. They do a pre-planned meeting with you. So you choose your food, you make your plan sort of together. And then you come together for those 2 days to practice the skill. You actually sleep out overnight together in the experience. So we charge $10 as a registration fee for this. And then any additional fees you work out as a group. So if you decide to eat really expensive and fancy, delicious campground food, then your fees would be a little higher than if you make hot dogs over the fire as you plan for those. So this training is really great for those folks who really want the practice with the outdoor skills, or who want to really connect with a couple of their volunteer friends and come together for this training and spend that time together. And then the last way that we offer the bowls is Ready, Set, Go camping and bowls. So this is a girl and volunteer event. So you can bring your Girl Scout troop up to Farnsworth, where we offer it, and you stay Friday through Sunday. And what happens is the girls and the volunteers do the practice the trainings together. So the same time that you're learning how to teach orienteering, you're watching our staff teach orienteering with the girls, and you're watching how the girls are learning it at the same time. So at the end of the weekend, you're qualified for bowls. So there's plenty of opportunities coming up. They're all available on the activities calendar. So definitely go right ahead. And I can see in the bowls that bowls is super fun. It really is. It's pretty amazing. I've taught this probably 12 times now with big groups throughout the council. And it really is a fun event. I always learn something new, and so does everybody in the group. So our next slide is advanced outdoor living skills. So this training that does really the advanced skills, this is probably my favorite training in the whole world to teach. I love teaching this as backpacking. I love teaching it as winter camping. And we offer this training every single year in September, the weekend after Farnsworth weekend, every single year. So this year, it'll be a boating qualification. So you'll come to Farnsworth. We will camp for a night on the big field. We load up our boats. We go across the lake and camp at a primitive campsite across there. And so with this training, you get boating qualification. On alternate years, last year we offered it actually during Farnsworth weekend. We offered it as a backpacking class. So it alternates between those every September. Also, every other year we offer it as winter camping, and we offer it in collaboration with the Winterfest and Winterpalooza. So the next winter camping AOLS will be in 2023 in February at the same time. So do you have to have the certification to do troop camping? The only thing you really need for troop camping is outdoor adventure workshop if you're staying one night, and if you're not doing any complicated cooking, and if you're staying in an Adirondack, a lodge, or a cabin. So that's really the training that you need to have, and that's the one that's free and online. All right, go ahead to the next slide. So in addition to the outdoor trainings that we use for camping, we also try to offer our advanced trainings at least once a year. So lifeguard training this year, it's $300, which is quite a reduced cost for lifeguarding. And it's June 18th and 19th. It'll be at Camp Farnsworth. It's held every June at Camp Farnsworth. We hold it in collaboration with the staff training that we do for our summer camps. So this is available online. You can register for it. And this is, again, a blended training. You do advanced online work, and then you come for 2 days of testing and training in the pool. So this one's coming up pretty soon. Next slide, please. We also offer that boating qualification. So this is offered every June, and then this year it will also be offered in September as part of the bowls or the AOLS class that's happening there. So this is happening at Camp Kettleford, June 26th. When we offer this in June, we alternate between Kettleford and Farnsworth. We apologize that we can't do it at Seawood, but there's no water there to do that in. And so this training moves back and forth. I don't know if Stephanie Romero's on this call, but she took the class 2 falls ago with us when we did the canoe overnight. So we're really excited that people are still taking this class and doing that too. So boating qualification coming up in June. It'll also be coming up in September as part of AOLS this year. So the next slide. And then archery qualification, probably the most popular qualification that we run. We do this the same way. It's offered twice a year. In June, it will alternate between Camp Kettleford and Camp Farnsworth. This year, it will be at Camp Kettleford. And then in September, we offer it every time at Farnsworth weekend. So always available. And then this one, more than anything else, I get asked how old you have to be. So they have to be at least 18 on or before June 16th of 2022 to take this training. So just so that you can sort of keep that in mind as some of your girls are getting older. And I know we have quite a few girls who've been doing archery for many years who are probably about ready for this qualification training. So that next slide, please. So first aid and CPR, our department recently took over the leading of the first aid and CPR coordinating for the classes. Unfortunately, we don't have any classes right now. We're still working with those who deliver the classes to try to get them scheduled. So they'll be coming soon, and our goal is to have one class every month and to rotate that through the council. So that's our goal, and we've just started working towards that for this training. So before we move from adult training, I can see the question in the chat about bowls. So yes, when you do troop camping, you need one adult who is your outdoor trained person. And again, it does not need to be bowls. If you're planning a one night overnight, if you're just doing stick cooking or a one pot meal, and if you're staying in an Adirondack lodge or cabin, your one adult trained person can be trained in outdoor adventure workshop. And likewise, if you have folks in your group, like I think Michelle Ellison's on this call, she's had our AOLS class. She was in our first backpacking class that we ever ran this way. Michelle could be your person who's qualified if you're doing a 2-night overnight at a campground, because all of the classes sort of build into each other. So they don't have to be in your troop, but they do have to be qualified and having taken some sort of training appropriate for the camping experience that your girls are having. So. All right, moving to the next slide then. All right, so we also have some training opportunities coming up for our girls. So program aid training, which is required if you're going to be a program aide at summer camp. So leadership positions at our summer camps, you must have this program aid training. We're offering it in Portsmouth on Saturday, April 23rd, and it's an in-person training. So this is the one in-person program aid training that we have coming up. And so we're trying to tell everyone about it because it's in April and we don't want girls to get locked out of programs because they missed this chance to take program aid training. The other thing that we're going to start offering is a new Go for Your Gold Award training. So specific to girls who are thinking about working on their Gold Award. And so we'll be able to do a little bit more in-depth training, and that will start in April. We're looking at dates right now for that. So there's some training opportunities for our Girl Scouts as well. Right, and I think that's me. You can move to the next slide, but I think that's everything.
That is, thank you, Karen. The next is going to be our product program updates. I will turn that over to Crystal.
Thanks, Amanda. Hi, everyone. I'm Crystal Rigoli. I think many of you have probably been seeing emails from me this year, which maybe you haven't in the past, but I just want to thank you all for being so patient and understanding as we navigate this very challenging and completely different from any of the 8 seasons that I've been part of Girl Scouts, I know, and hope we never face this challenge again, but we still are in the midst of it. And I know we have 2 weeks left of booth sales. So we're doing our very best to get through it and be as fair as possible to everyone. So one of the things I wanted to make sure everyone's aware of for this week, as I know many of you on this call I've spoken with, or you've emailed and we've discussed some of the limitations that unfortunately we have to implement to be fair to all troops. We are still hoping to get cookies from Little Brownie. We do have cookies that have been on order since January that we have not received. And so we are still hoping that we will get those. But until we do, we can only give out what we have. So what we are encouraging people to do, if you are interested, and I think Robin's going to add it in here to the chat, is late booths. So as we always do every year, we offer late booths. Those booths begin after the official cookie season ends, but you are allowed to continue with submitting a form for a late booth. We can definitely walk you through that and answer questions during our breakout session into more detail, but I think many of you are familiar with that. And in that hope, in this case, we hope to have some more flavors of cookies than we have right now. Specifically, tagalongs and Samoas will be the cookie that we're expecting to get. And possibly, I won't hold my breath, beginning earliest of March 28th, I'm being told, would be Adventurefuls even coming. So it's significantly past what any of us expected, but for those that want to hold on hope, there is maybe some, but I've also been told everyone wants to be very realistic. So if we're being realistic, it's going to be a tough next 2 weeks and there will be additional cuts. And unfortunately now even Thin Mints is something that we have less of than we had before. So this week we have restricted to 25 cases of Thin Mints. Now, many of you will think, wow, I only need 5 or 8, and we know you do, but some of you want 100. So we have to come up with a number that is somewhere fair to everyone. So I don't know if there's any questions in the chat. I don't have my chat open. So, oh, thank you, Robin, for adding that for the late booth. I don't know what the agenda was. I kind of started just right on time. So I don't know if we have time for questions, Amanda, or if we should save it for the breakout session.
You do have time for a few questions if you'd like, or we can go straight into breakout rooms here in a little bit and give everyone plenty of time in those.
Yes, so Jessica, I don't know if you were able to fill out the Adventureful Jot form. So it has been a very crazy couple of weeks and we've done our best to try to stay afloat with all the cupboard changes. So we have now just gone through those Adventurefuls, and orders will be being entered into the cupboard that you've selected. You will be contacted if the amount that you've asked for is more than we are able to allot. But for the most part, majority of the troops that have submitted, we are able to fill those orders. So you should be seeing something very soon about that. I don't know if you want to add anything, Robin.
Yeah, almost all the transactions are in. We've been entering them this afternoon. So watch for an email, at least from eBuddy. I think we have two more cupboards left to post to. Similar to the beginning, we had those little receipts. So you should see a separate receipt in your cupboard. And we should mention Nashua cupboard people that requested Nashua will be picking up in Bedford.
Correct. We've had to close 2 cupboards due to inventory shortages. Both the Nashua cupboard and the Northwood cupboard in New Hampshire have both been closed and consolidated.
Tracy is asking about the jot form that came out a couple of weeks ago. Let me just pull it very quickly here. I do not have
So
that.
at this point, Tracy, just for clarification, so the jot form was meant for folks that had just missed that deadline. It was about a week, maybe a week and a half. So digital orders and any goal getters that were between that time before we told people to stop taking orders, which I won't get the date right now if I try. But so those have been pretty much spoken for at this point. So if anything were to come up at this point, it would be something we'd have to look at after March 28th to be able to fill.
And I think that's what we can certainly chat a little bit more in the breakout room if people do have other questions, especially if you have questions about eBuddy or anything else that we can help you with.
I can answer Julie's question. So Julie, there may be, particularly like the Bedford Council cupboard and the Williston Council office cupboard also that would stay open. Our other cupboards, as you can imagine, are volunteer run. And so it's a lot to ask. If there's interest and they're willing, that may be a possibility for a potential extra week. But there's a lot that goes into us extending cupboards, which would mean we're probably extending the sale, which we're not planning to do. As you know, cookie rewards have to be entered, the cookies have to be submitted, and there's a lot of steps that have to take place. So if the reason that you'd want cupboards to be open later is so that you could get cookies, that still could happen. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the formal process that we do it during the cookie season, if that makes sense. I know it's a bit complex, but we can talk to you more about it.
Makes
Thank
sense.
you. Had a long day, Julie. I wasn't sure if it made sense anymore. So Tara, your question is what's being done for girls with goals who can't get the cookies to meet their goals in regards to rewards? Well, I would say the late booth is the opportunity for that potentially. So girls that do have a specific level they're trying to reach. I don't know if you're a troop. I would imagine you probably have done late booths before, Tara, but I'm not positive. You know, that would be the opportunity where the girl would say, I have this goal. Parents and the girl and the troop are willing to commit to that. The cookies would be placed under that girl's order line. It would be submitted. Then as the cookies come in, she would be responsible for selling those. And of course, there'd be no returns, but that would be her ability to achieve that goal. Anybody else? If booths, if the sale were to be extended, then yes, prizes probably would be delayed, but we are not planning on extending the sale. So a late booth, again, we'll talk about late booths a little bit more in our breakout session. A late booth is when a troop goes ahead and submits not only the cookies that they have, but the cookies that they're requesting to get as well. And they would put that into their order. And then as we receive those cookies, which this year may be a bit after the order is placed, which is not the norm, those cookies would be allocated to the girl. So in effect, they're submitting those cookies that that girl is planning to sell, would not be able to return, and would be financially responsible for. So like I said, we can talk about it more in the breakout session because there's kind of a lot of pieces to it. I just want to make sure everyone understands. But yes, one of the reasons we do not want to delay the cookie sale is because the majority of troops, many have met their goals. And I know many are still working towards their goals. So, you know, we don't want to, for the majority of people to extend a cookie program where there is this opportunity for those that are still searching to get their goals to extend for a late booth. They're big koalas. I know they're very cute. I hope they get those big koalas. All right, Amanda, I think we're probably good to,
Think so. It looks like we're pretty quiet for right now.